Good morning, everybody. Now, yesterday, the Dutch MEP Rob Roos put out a statement on X, formerly known as Twitter, about something bad that was happening in the EU, which is the implementation of digital identity and central bank digital currency. So he said that there was a meeting between the EU's member states and the European Parliament where they agreed to roll out something called EID. I guess that stands for electronic identity. So it's essentially going to be a digital identity wallet, similar to what we had or what they tried to implement to everybody in the lockdown COVID period, injection period, where in many countries you were not allowed into venues, even including restaurants and cafes, unless you had a green pass or a digital identity to show that you'd had an injection or an injection booster and so on. There's absolutely no need for this. Now, there wasn't any need for it then. There isn't any need for it now. The only reason is that they want to roll out a control system and implement a completely new financial system based on central bank digital currencies. They call it the digital euro within the EU. In the UK, it will be the digital pound. Rishi Sunak has already indicated that he's keen on implementing central bank digital currency, and this will happen also in other places around the world. You've got Ukraine, Israel, Australia, New Zealand, USA, Canada, all marching headlong towards implementing a central bank digital currency. If this happens, ultimately they want to get rid of cash, and transactions will only be allowed to be done with CBDCs, and they will be completely programmable. The government can decide whether you are allowed to spend your digital currency when they say you can spend it. You know, they can block you from having total control over your own money like you do at the moment with cash. You can spend it where you like, whenever you like, and the government can't trace it. With central bank digital currency, the government will be able to see everything you spend, everything you receive, and will be able to dictate what you spend it on. So they can say, for example, oh, you've had too much meat this week, so you're not allowed to buy any more meat for another few days or another few months. Or, oh, you've travelled too far, so you're not allowed to buy any more petrol because want you to stay inside your 15-minute city with the checkpoints that are being set up in those 15-minute city areas that are already being implemented in many places. And they could deny you access to buy flights to go on holiday for foreign travel. People have already said, in the future they want to limit you to having one foreign flight per year, or one foreign flight or one return flight per 3 years, or something like that. So various people come up with various plans and suggestions as to how your life and travel and consumption will be limited in the future, all for the nonsense of climate alarmism. The thing is, we have an abundance of everything in the world. There's an abundance of water, food, coal, oil, gas, everything that we need, but it's being deliberately restricted at the moment. The powers that be in the governments, particularly in nations in the Western world, or conglomerations of nations like the EU, are trying to deliberately implement scarcity, and that's so that we can be controlled with a central bank digital currency and kept in 15-minute cities with no freedom to travel, freedom to assemble, freedom to trade even being taken away from us, because if they control your bank account totally, you don't have the freedom to trade. as an individual, and not even as a business. I mean, you saw in the lockdown periods, they declared certain businesses non-essential and stopped them from trading, which goes against every principle of freedom that we've had developed in the Western world for centuries upon centuries. Taken away in 2020. We've got it back now for a time, but if we're not careful, this will be taken away permanently through central bank digital currencies and digital identity. The sad thing is there's a lot of sheeple who will just think, oh, this is wonderfully convenient, I'm going to take it. You know, they will reward you with a hamburger or something for getting a digital identity wallet, and people will just take it because they're like, oh, great, a hamburger, oh, I'll do this, which is absolutely, you know, just ridiculously thoughtless and ignorant of what the situation is. So Rob Roos there on his video said, look, there will be a vote on it, however, in the European Parliament. So the MEPs have to actually sanction that and vote positively, vote it through so the digital identity wallet can be implemented at the plenary session where all the MEPs go off to Strasbourg for 1 week in the month to vote on all of the things that come before it from the European Commission. It's very likely that they're going to vote it through because, you know, the European Parliament is essentially mostly a rubber stamping operation. And, you know, you have the centre left, the centre right parties. They all work together in all the nations in order to push forward the agendas of the UN, the World Economic Forum, the globalists, Agenda 2030, UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and this is all part of it. So, you know, I don't see that there's much possibility or probability that the MEPs will vote against it. Who knows? There might be a miracle. It's unlikely. So what people need to do is resist this when it comes in and just not take it, not do it, not use it, not engage with it. And if people just don't participate in it, you know, if there's only in the EU, there's 450, 500 million people. I don't know exactly how many people live in the EU, but, you know, if only 1% of people in the EU take a digital wallet, it's not going to work. But they want mass participation in this. So, you know, if they get 80% of people taking a digital wallet, then they'll roll it out and say, well, the other 20%, well, you know, you take it or you can't buy anything, which leaves them in a difficult situation. But if take up is low, if people resist, no matter what the politicians do, then they can't implement it. You know, if everyone just says, well, I'm not going to take it, I'm not going to use a digital wallet, I'm going to carry on using cash, and they don't, you know, it's everybody's individual choice whether to download a digital wallet onto their smartphone or their laptop and start using it. If people just don't use it, then the thing fails, like it has done in some third world countries where they've tried to bring things in and people just haven't taken it up. So we need to do the same in our Western nations as well, in the EU, in the UK, in the USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They're going to be pushing these things out all across the Western world to try to get everybody to accept digital identity and central bank digital currency. We just have to say no and not use it, really. That's really where we are. And this vote here in the European Union, it shows that they're continuing their agenda with all the distractions of things going on abroad. The Middle East is taking up the headlines in all of the papers across all of the media all of the time, so that, you know, people are not looking at what's going on in terms of the other agendas that people want to bring in the Western world, in the Western civilization, indeed globally as well. I mean, they want to bring this in Dubai and Singapore and, you know, China. China's already got it essentially, or some kind of precursor to it. So these are things that affect us far, far more than whatever's happening in Ukraine and the Middle East. And this is where we need to engage and look out for what our governments are doing and resist and say no to the programs that they want to put in to take away our freedom. So I'm going to put a link to the speech that this Dutch MEP Rob Roos said on Twitter, so you can have a look at it, watch it for yourself, and then you can keep your eye out for what's happening in the UK and in your own countries around the world. Thanks for listening, everyone. God bless you all.